first of all for having me. It was supposed to, as Malcolm said to me, it was supposed to be a couple of years ago that I was planning to come up. This was literally the last session I had planned before the pandemic hit. So obviously I wasn't able to come up. So it's good to be back. 24 years ago I actually used to play for the club. I'm sure many people knew that. It was about 8 to 10 years that I played for the club. So it's been a long time since I've been back. So good to be back. Some of you may know me, some of you may not, some of you may have seen videos and things around service. My game is, certainly a lot of it was built around service, and that was where I was interested in the game and experimented, and that seems to be what people want to know, so that forms a lot of my sessions. So the bulk of it will be around service and little tips and tricks and some intricate details as well. Some will be a little bit straightforward and we'll slowly get a little bit more complex. Some might be a little bit beyond, and that's absolutely fine, but just to make sure that you know where you are and what you can head towards with your service. 2 bounces at least on our opponent's side. How do I achieve that? How do you guys achieve that? I'm sure you can already serve short. What do you need to do?
Be gentle.
Be gentle. Gentle helps for sure, yeah.
Backspin.
Backspin can help, yeah.
I think more friction than force.
More friction, we're talking about spin, yeah.
First bounce close to the net.
First bounce close to the net, yeah. How close to the net are we going?
Probably about there.
About here, okay. Anyone think any different? Okay.
Maybe a wee bit further back.
Yeah, it might change a little bit depending on what we're doing, but roughly 2/3, 3/4 up the table. Okay, what else do we need to consider? The height, yeah, absolutely the height. So for me, they're the main 2 things. There's obviously other factors, but the main 2 things, roughly net height, roughly 2/3 up the table. Whatever serve we're doing, if we get those 2 things right, too close, and we should be able to get our short serve consistent. We should be able to do that with whatever technique you decide to choose. We get those 2 elements correct. Don't worry too much about them going everywhere. There'll be balls everywhere by the end of the session. Whatever we choose to serve, we get those 2 parts right, we should be able to get our short serve. And if we get them wrong, then we should be able to change it. So if I go net height but too close to me here, it's not going to be enough power in the serve. As I've done earlier, if the bounce goes too close to the net, there's not enough room for the ball to lift up. So it's being aware when it goes wrong, that's the part that I need to change. If you don't know why you're going wrong, then it's very difficult to change that. Okay? So when we do this one, your choice of what serve you want to do, we're just trying to focus on those 2 parts, the height of the net and where it's landing. The off-speed can be an addition, yeah?
It's important that you hit it early on the table.
So closer, so we're going to take it from up here and the bounce is going to be much closer to us and low. So they're the 2 things that are going to change. The height was net height, 2/3 up, now it's going to be low and close. If we can get those 2 parts right, that's what creates the speed, yeah, rather than us putting force into the ball. So my bat's going to be a little bit more open, and again my demo is going to be this type of pendulum serve, where the principles apply to any serve. If I can get that low and close, then it's that gets the speed into the serve. Yeah? If I get those parts wrong, so if I go close but too high, yeah, we get a lot of height on the serve. It slows everything down. People have a chance then to hit the ball hard. If I contact low but too far up the table, there's not enough room for the ball to lift. Yes, we can't create enough height. So again, important that you understand why you've made the error, so that you can make those correct as possible. So with this, you've got 2 options if you serve. You can either serve short down the line. So again, we're trying to get those 2 bounces, net height, 2/3 up the table, what we've just done. The opposite, we can do a long fast serve across the table. Okay, the longer part of the table. So we know how to do that, we've just done that, but now we're trying to keep things as similar as possible. Okay, so how I work through this process is serving a number down here, but I'm trying to consider what it looks like and what it feels like. So how I'm throwing the ball up what my bat does when I'm throwing it up, so where's it going, and what I'm doing on the approach. I'm just trying to ingrain what's happening. I want to use all of this information for when I go for that long fast serve. Okay, so I've done short, short, short. I'm going to keep it all the same, and then I'm changing the shot. Yeah? So then I'm changing to this one, and hopefully I'm not giving too much away. Now, I was giving you a big signal here before with what was happening. The little signals can be very big. Okay, so one thing that we often see, short one, okay, elbow will be down, regardless of the serve that we're doing. But when people go long and fast, you might see a big backswing, or you might see the elbow come up, or we'll see the bat open. It can be a little thing, but to someone receiving it can be quite an obvious signal. Okay, so that's the sort of thing that we're going to try and contain now. Or if we're going to get complex and we know we're doing those things, we might have the big backswing but still drop it in short and use that to try and make things similar. So some little details on this. And one thing is on this short one. Can I use you for this one, Matt? Is that
Sorry?
right? Can I use you to receive this?
Yeah,
Is that right? So one little detail is about being precise with your positioning. Okay, so if my short serve is drifting into the middle of the forehand and my long serve is deep into the backhand, then Malcolm can get away with just one step, or he's got to cover that long one. So he hasn't got far to cover there. So if you're not accurate enough with this short serve, you're not stretching your opponent and not having to make decisions. Okay, but if I'm accurate with this short one and getting him really wide, you might even have to take 2 steps to get there. Yeah? And tactically, that just means I've got a gap now where I can start to aim for this because I've moved in this way. Yeah? Or if I've done 5 or 6 short serves here, and suddenly this becomes a bit more viable. So being accurate with your placement, again, not really learning anything, but just being aware of where you're serving, you can add points to your game. Okay. And again, come back to if we're telegraphing where we're going, then okay, that's maybe not so beneficial then if I'm showing where I'm serving. But certainly being accurate is another layer that needs to be added into it. It's on the table. Okay, so this is quite a tricky part. And again, we can tailor it and make it specific for you. We can make it easier, we can make it harder. There's lots of different things that we can do with this. And this is the part that if you do get it, real chance to level your serve up and start producing something different. So the first thing then is, how do we produce spin? How do we create spin?
Brushing the ball.
Rushing the ball, yeah. Wrist action can help for sure, yeah. And we need some acceleration in there as well, don't we? Okay. So whichever angle we choose, all of those things exist. For me, number one is brushing. We're putting those in order, and we want brushing. Then we need to add speed and wrist, and we can argue as to which ones are more beneficial. But I'll give you an example of me spinning the ball here. I'll just use this side of the table. That if I'm just going to use a normal grip, but if I fix my wrist, I'm not going to put my wrist into this at all. And I'm just going to run through the ball, not that quickly, just fairly smoothly. If I brush the ball, as we spoke about, then I can create a spin on the ball. Okay, so that's no wrist, that's not a lot of acceleration, I'm just brushing the ball. I'm not hitting the ball, yeah? I'm trying to skim through it. So that brushing is absolutely crucial in getting some effect. To exaggerate it, we need speed and we need wrist. Yeah? So once I've got that touch on the ball, then I'm going to accelerate. Then I get more spin and it starts to accelerate back to me. Okay, but step one is the brushing. If you try and add speed but you've not got the right touch, then we're not going to create those different effects. So really important that we're getting that brushing contact, whether that's backhand or forehand. Yeah, we're getting that right contact on the ball. So that's how we spin. We're going to put that into a little bit of a challenge. Both players will be on one side, and this is where the cones come into play. Okay, Now, I'm going to do an example, and you'll have a choice. You can set these up however you want, okay, to suit you. And person one in your pair will be able to choose what you do, and you'll both do it. When I say change, person two will be able to change it, and you'll both have a go at whatever their challenge may be. Okay, so I'm going to give an example of a challenge that I do quite commonly as well. You can use this, you might not want to. So, I've set them up so I can't see through the cones, so I can't just roll the ball through. I've got to use spin, yeah, down this angle to try and get the balls through the cones here. Okay, I need that brushing contact on the ball to give myself a chance. What sort of spin do I need to achieve that?
Right hand side.
Right hand side. Anything else?
Backspin, side spin.
Backspin, side spin. Different opinion? No idea. Okay. So, backspin, side spin. We need a lot more backspin than we do side spin. The misconception is we need lots of side spin to get the ball to move sideways. It's really tough to do that, and I'll hopefully give you an example here. So I'm going to keep my bat very flat. Again, I'm just going to use this side to start with. If my bat is flat, then the ball should come back to me in a fairly straight line. Yeah, so I'm getting clean backspin. Okay. If I put a small tilt in my bat, just a tiny angle, okay, brush through, and now the ball's moving sideways. Alright, so it's a very, very subtle change. And that's the angle that I'm trying to achieve on that side of the table. So I'm flat, then there's a little tilt, now I'm going into my service, I'm trying to keep that angle all the way through. And that creates that effect on the table.
You've done this before, haven't you?
A few times. Okay, so again, flat, I'm adding in that little angle. Yeah, and I should have missed it, but you can see the shape on the table. If you've got the brush and the contact, it shouldn't matter too much. Ideally, it's not a bad thing to focus on the leading edge. So if this is the part that I'm trying to, if I'm trying to get backspin, then this is the part. Within that one, when we're setting tasks like that, things can be very careful to start with. And often the question is that useful for my, can I put this into a match because I'm just sort of thinking the ball on? But it's just remembering that you're trying to experiment with how you can contact the ball and how you can create different effects. And once you've started to create those effects, it's then being able to add in a bit more quality, a bit more speed, a bit more spin, a bit more aggression, so that it is something that you can use in your match play. So don't always think that practicing things in isolation don't directly relate to what you're going to be doing. There's going to be building in different layers to what you're doing. So yeah, it might not be 100% realistic at the moment, but yeah, you need to think about what the next stages are. For example, let's give you an example. Okay, so if I've set the targets up and I'm trying to understand how I get the ball through the targets, yeah, this might not be the most useful serve, in a match. It allows me to get through the target, but maybe someone's going to be able to attack. So from that, then I need to maybe add in a bit more acceleration. So now I'm trying to get a bit more spin from it. Okay? Then I might turn it into a bit more of a, so how I use this one is a high toss one. So this is how I put it into my serve. Yeah, so there's lots of spin, high toss, it's built into my game, I'm round, I'm looking to implement the rest of my game, my forehand, but all of that has started from me understanding that I need to lift the ball onto my side, and I need to contact the ball in a certain way to get it through the target. And I've added quality, then I've tried to add it into my game, then I've tried to add variety to this. So again, what you've practiced there might not be match ready, and if you do that to someone in a match, well, it's gone through the target. Yeah, so again, it's just relating it to where it is, what it needs to be, and whether it's ready to use in a match or not. But hopefully that's made you think a little bit more about how you can serve. You can serve a side spin serve in 5-6 different ways. It doesn't have to be lots of different things. You can have little subtle changes. can help us decide what we need to do. So the serve's going to come down into the forehand half, and what we're going to look at is two different serves, so your choice really. So it can either be a backspin, a no spin, or maybe you try and add in a little bit of a top spin. Okay, but two different serves, and I'm looking for two different bits of information. If I think it's backspin, I'm going to try and push or touch. If I think it's float or topspin, then I'm going to change and I'm going to flick. Okay, so you mix it up how you want, and let's have a little look and see what happens. Okay, so I chose to flick it. I saw it as a little bit of topspin. Okay, that time I saw it as a bit of backspin, so I made a change. This time Ron, he snuck that one in there, didn't he? That's alright. People like you before, Malcolm.
Thank God for that.
Good. So all these things that we've spoken about, I'm watching for. So when I see Malcolm's bat really open, that says to me it's very difficult to get backspin. Okay, so when I see this open bat, that's a decision for me that I can flick that ball. Equally, when I see a flat bat and he's coming through and he's cutting underneath it, it's a decision for I need to come underneath. So I'm not just coming in and going, I need to push this one because of whatever. I'm basing it on whatever I see. So keep an eye on his bat and see if you can spot what's happening. Yeah, a little bit in the middle there. I could have done either to that one. There's a little bit of backspin on it. Yeah, what was going to be on that one? Backspin. So that makes my decision. Anyone see that one? Bit of float that one, wasn't it? Float one. Float again. Yeah, so I'll call it out when I see it, and this is when I'm spotting it. Back. Ooh, caught me out with a little bit of top. Good. Back. Side. Float. So I'm making the decision, and the reason I called that out is when I'm making it. I'm not waiting for it to bounce, and then that might affect it. But I'm making a judgment as early as possible.
You don't tell the way the ball's spinning.
Can help you. If I'm really struggling to read it, then the bounce can help.
And the way the ball's moving, so the print on the ball.
Sometimes, but if it's spinning, then you can't see it, and then it's tough. So, the first thing that's different then is I tend to hold the bat a little bit more similar to my playing grip. Okay, so I'm not holding it in any type of service grip, normal playing grip. The stage one of it, we'll call it for this purpose, is just trying to create two different spins. Okay, so I want an open racket, about 45 degrees, and I'm either trying to hit down the bottom of the racket, yeah, produce a little bit of backspin and side spin, or the top part of the racket, and that's going to produce a little bit of topspin. Okay, and what we'll see, if I do the backspin one first, here where I'm jabbing into the ball, we're seeing it curling, disappearing into the corner. Yeah, if I change that and have the contact at the top of the bat, still curling around, it straightens off, and now it's a little bit more over here. So we've got two different responses from these two different contact points. So again, backspin, bottom part of the bat, sharp turn on the table, top spin, top part of the bat, scooping around it, that's good information for me that I've contacted with two different spins. Okay, it's quite tough to do, be able to subtly contact these different parts, but possible. We can give it a go.